The e-moto world has absolutely exploded over the last few years, and at this point, it feels like new electric dirt bikes are popping up every other week, all claiming to be the one that'll change how you ride. One of the more interesting options out there right now is the GoTrax K2 dirt bike, and what really caught my attention is that it's aiming to deliver some real off-road fun without completely nuking your bank account. So here we've got the K2 e-dirt bike from GoTrax, a Texas-based brand that's been around since 2017 and has spent most of its time pumping out electric scooters and e-bikes. Lately, though, they've been stretching their legs a bit, and the K2 is actually one of only 2 dirt bikes in their current lineup. The other one's made for kids, which makes this the biggest, fastest, and most powerful electric dirt bike GoTrax offers right now. Let's talk price first, because that's a big part of the story here. The K2 is currently listed at around $3,480, which is a pretty hefty drop from its original $5,000 price tag. Why the price cut happened is a whole conversation on its own, but what matters is that it suddenly puts the K2 in a much more tempting spot for riders who've been eyeing something electric but didn't want to go all in financially. My first reaction when I saw the K2 was honestly pretty positive. It looks good, clean, and purposeful, but I also couldn't shake the feeling that it looked familiar. If you've seen a Sur-Ron or some of the similar electric dirt bikes coming out of China, you'll probably notice the resemblance right away. That said, the K2 does have its own touches, like the oversized motor housing, and I actually like the overall vibe. It's not flashy or screaming for attention, which gives it more of a sleeper look. The bright red battery packs do hint that there's some speed hiding in there, though. Power-wise, the K2 is no slouch. It runs a 4,000-watt motor that can peak at either 7,000 or 8,000 watts, depending on which part of GoTrax's site you're reading, so that's something you'll probably want to confirm with a dealer. Either way, that puts it surprisingly close to some Sur-Ron models in terms of output. We don't get official torque numbers, which is a bit of a bummer, but we do know the top speed is rated at around 50 miles per hour. For most people, that's more than enough to have a blast. Acceleration figures aren't listed either, but with that kind of power, it's safe to say it won't feel slow. When you stack it up against something like a Lite BX, the K2 comes in nearly $1,000 cheaper, which is where things get really interesting. Of course, price isn't everything, so range becomes the next big question. GoTrax claims up to 45 miles on a full charge, but let's be real, that's under ideal conditions. Once you start riding the way dirt bikes are meant to be ridden, with loose terrain, hard acceleration, quick stops, and a bit of aggressive fun, that number is going to shrink. Still, even a realistic chunk of that range could be plenty for most property riding sessions. Suspension is another strong point here, with a full suspension setup that should keep things comfortable and controlled on typical trails and dirt paths. Up front, you've got inverted forks, and in the rear, a traditional shock. This isn't a hardcore motocross machine, but it should handle light jumps, small drops, and uneven terrain without drama. Just keep in mind, the bike weighs around 185 pounds, so it's not exactly featherlight. Stopping power comes from dual-piston hydraulic disc brakes, which is exactly what you want on a bike like this, especially when traction really matters. The tires are clearly focused on grip and braking rather than comfort, which makes sense for an electric dirt bike meant to be ridden off-road. One thing worth noting is the size, though. The rider photos on GoTrax's site make it look like taller riders might feel a little cramped, so that's something to consider depending on your height. Since the K2 doesn't have the equipment needed to be street legal, this is strictly a private property or off-road only kind of ride. Always check your local laws, ride responsibly, and seriously, wear a helmet. Electric or not, crashing hurts just the same. GoTrax has also hinted that the K2 represents a new direction for the brand, and that's honestly the most interesting part. If this is their first serious step into electric dirt bikes, it could mean much bigger and better machines down the line. Whether they can eventually compete with heavy hitters like Cake or Stark is still an open question, but the K2 feels like a solid starting point. Now the real question is, would you ride one?